A local event is giving the term Ladies' Night a whole new meaning. Armed with knee pads and helmets, young women in Rochester are coming together to hone their craft, learn new moves, and build bonds through the sport of skateboarding. What has long been regarded as a male-dominated sport has seen the development of girl gangs throughout the country and around the world, and it's happening in Rochester. Joining me now to talk more about Ladies' Night and the rise of female skateboarding in the Rochester community is Scarlett Markham, founder of Flower Pale Kids and event organizer for Ladies' Night. Emmy Grosvenor, a local skateboarder, and Alan Pursuti, board president for Friends of the Rock City Skate Park. And welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So often when I am out and we're filming for Need to Know or for a story and I see skateboarders, I always see a group of guys. And so I want to know, I know that this is changing in the world of skateboarding. I know for the 2020 Olympics, we'll finally get to see skateboarding for men and women. But considering that this is a sport that got its start in the 1950s and 60s, why do you think it's taken so long? And do you think there's still this gender gap that exists with skateboarding? And Scarlett, I'll give that to you first.
I think it just has to do with social norms, even outside of skateboarding, that contribute to it. And even though a lot of skateboarders do see themselves as progressive, in that way that they're still a little bit behind. And there have been female skaters every decade that have, sort of shined through, but still, I've seen plenty of women who are just as good as the men, and they still, if they're not pretty enough or they don't, they're not in a certain mold, then it's kind of disregarded, unfortunately. And now women are taking control of that, which I think is beautiful, and showing, you know what, I don't have to conform to anything that you have going on. We're just going to do our own thing, and if you want to be a part of it, cool. If you don't, we're just going to have a good time.
We'll talk about some of the ways that women are taking control, and you see and you experience that they're breaking these stereotypes that do exist. Alan, I'm gonna look at you.
Sure. Yeah, there definitely things have changed. Typically, a stereotype of skateboarding is there's a lot of injuries. So traditionally, people don't envision females participating in something so rough and tough. But it has changed quite a bit, and we have people like Scarlett stepping up and involving herself in the scene and helping that grow to where the females can come out and participate and feel more comfortable with seeing other role models, and that has helped quite a bit.
We'll talk a little bit, so Ladies' Night, I was there. We've got footage of it that our viewers are getting a chance to see right now, and that's where I got a chance to meet both of you. So Scarlett, talk about, I want to know, I know that you were encouraged to start this event, but yes, is there a personal story or something that you heard from somebody that made you say, I really do need to create this for young women in this city?
Yes, I didn't have anyone to skateboard with. I moved back to Rochester 3 years ago from Brooklyn, and in Brooklyn I was skating alone. I come back to Rochester, still skating alone, and it was getting kind of boring. I go to Crudco, and Aaron, the owner of Crudco, immediately said, do you want to teach other girls how to skateboard? I was like, I just moved back. I don't know a lot of people because I moved away when I was a teenager. I'll get back to you. So fast forward a couple years of him and actually Alan asking me, hey, would you like to do, we're thinking of doing something for women. We just don't know how to do it. And I broke down. I was like, okay, I'll do it. Because I was getting a lot of other women in my life, oh, I want to try skateboarding, because I would tell them I was skateboarding, and well, I just don't feel comfortable. I don't want to go to the skate park. I feel scared. All of these things. So I was like, I got to do it. Finally, I got to do it. So I go to Alan and Aaron, and I was like, I'm ready to do it. And so we go to the owner of Breaking Free Skate Park, Dave, and he said he was down to do it. So we turned it into a monthly thing where I've invited friends, family, and complete strangers. Everybody get down here. We're learning how to skateboard.
So, Emmy, tell me a little, first of all, what made you hooked or intrigued when it comes to skateboarding? Because I got to see you last month.
Yeah, the first time I went to the skate park, I was the only girl there, and that's super intimidating, just like the fear of not being taken seriously, or just all of those things, especially going and not skateboarding a day in your life. That was really intimidating, but the first time you just do the easiest thing, whether that's just pushing around or of any skill level, pushing around, ollieing, like any trick. It's just like such this satisfaction of like, I did that, I have control. And that's what really made me like excited about skateboarding.
So what was it like for you? Talk to me about just the differences between going into this more male-dominated park when you were just learning, and then versus how it is now with an event like Ladies Night, being surrounded by other young women.
Having an event like Ladies Night was just so amazing. Having like Scarlett was the first person I met there, and I didn't even know she was the organizer of the event till later. And it, she was just so cool. Like, was like, come on, let's go. Like, we just started skateboarding. I was like, oh, like, you want me to go too? Like, I didn't feel this pressure to like kind of not be in people's way. It was just such a good community of people wanting you to like succeed in that setting of any skill level. So it was really fun.
Well, Alan, about, I would say maybe 4 years ago, I had the former president of the Friends of the Rock City Skate Park on the program, and we were talking about really the push to get this downtown skate park moving. It's been, seems like it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride over the past, 9 or so years. This spring, news that the city budget has $100,000 allocated for the skate park. Where do things stand right now, and how are you feeling about if this is going to be a go?
Well, I took over as president about 1.5 years ago. I'm very positive that this is going to happen. We are on our 3rd mayor who supports it. City Council supports it. We've been working closely with the Youth and Recreation Department, Marisol Lopez, the commissioner. We are working with the DOT to satisfy all their requirements, because we are looking to build it underneath the Frederick Douglass Susan B. Anthony Bridge. Behind the scenes wise, we are in the process of getting our own non-for-profit status, which will help the fundraising goal move forward. The $100,000 from the city is very helpful. That is money that is to be dedicated towards construction documents and official stuff. It's not a blank check to us to do, you know, anything we want. So recently we got approval from City Council to use some of that money to hire a grant writer to help us look into funding options and things like that to move forward. So at this point, like I said, we are confident it's going to happen. We are working on letting the public know that this is really going to happen. It's been a long road, so a lot of people are wondering, you know, is it even possible? And, you know, they look at the current design and they're like, well, this is crazy. This is, you know, but we want to build something that people can be proud of. So it does add to the the design is such high quality that the cost is very large, but in the grand scheme of things, when you're building something downtown, the cost is actually pretty low. So we are looking at a $2 million skate park at this point, and we're hoping that with the current status, we will convince people that this is a definite go, and it'll make things easier for us.
In the process of convincing people about this, if this is a go, what does the work also look like to create, we're talking about young women skateboarding, an inclusive park, you know, regardless of gender and culture and background?
Well, that's part of the idea. I mean, we live in the city. The city is very diverse, right? So the idea is building an open, free, well-designed, well-lit, safe environment. By design, if carefully thought out, it will be safer. It will encourage the community to come together. There's also green space included in the plan, which will help families just to be able to enjoy a park, whether you want to use the park or you want to use the ramps and everything for biking and rollerblading and skateboarding and everything like that. So the idea is to bring the community together with something that they can be proud of, and to show the future generations that the city is really invested in progress.
Well, for those of you who are watching and you want to check out Ladies Night, mark your calendar. The next skate night is scheduled for Monday, that's July 17th, from 6 to 9 p.m. at Breaking Free Skate Park on University Avenue. And to learn more about Rock City Skate Park, check them out at facebook.com/RockCityPark.